Three, two. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to PGR eSports live with some more action in the road to the Summer Slam 499. Well, we got through the prelims earlier, 5 complete. 25 drivers have already secured their way into the main event tomorrow. However, that leaves 15 drivers still a chance to race their way in through the Last Chance Qualifier, which is what we're getting ready for. About 5 to 10 minutes, we'll get things going, so we figured we'd get it kicked off with a little bit more pre-race action. Joining me in the booth, as always, Dawson. We just got through 5 different prelims. What was the biggest storyline you took from them? Yeah, last chance qualifier means you got to lay everything on the line because if you don't make it in, you are going home. And Ambrose, I think, was the one who said it in the chat. This is going to be probably the most stacked event we've seen so far the entire day. Apologize for that. We had one, but Dawson, I did not quite have you on. Some of the presets that we were fixing from earlier, but nonetheless, we got it set up now. So, just going over what you were saying, Dawson, though, was the idea that there's some names in here that you didn't expect to be in here, like John Ellis Jr. And then you look at guys that maybe you expected to be in here that have already advanced their way to the feature. So again, I know we had you muted there briefly, but besides that, was there anything else that you wanted to note?
No, not really. It was mostly, guys like Trevor Osbornoff, guys like Chris McCullough, guys like Mark Vondell, that kind of, are the regulars. Joe Huerta, he's run such a great couple of weeks in preparation for this weekend. And now finds himself, unfortunately, with his back against the wall after his prelim race. And obviously John Ellis, the most surprising of them. I figured John Ellis, once we heard that he was going to be in a prelim race this afternoon, I figured he'd pretty much be a shoo-in to get right into the feature event. Instead, again, reserved to this last chance qualifier. And really the biggest thing I'm looking for tonight also is just it's desperation time. This is, again, a backs against the wall moment. You have to lay all the chips on the table. It's time to go get the job done. This is your last opportunity to make it into the field tomorrow. If you want a spot, you've got to get it done tonight by any means necessary. You have to make it into the top 15.
You certainly do. Now, the other thing that we heard a couple guys talking about pre-race, which I thought was interesting that we could see here in this LCQ, is teamwork. A little bit different than what we saw in those prelims is, 15 drivers going to make it through. That's a lot of guys that you can work with. Say you got 3-4 different teammates that you want to work with, you can get all of your drivers in. You don't have to worry about maybe as much of that decision of trying to kind of work with a teammate versus trying to help yourself out at the end, as what we did see in the prelims. So I think one of those teams is going to be the Jack Shack, of course, one of the fan favorites. We'll see what they can do here tonight, but you look at some of the other guys, Michael Trasquero, you wonder who he's going to work with. You even go further back in the field and look at some of the new guys. Who are they going to work with? Francisco Villarreal, Ted Gamble. These are drivers that we see around the money racing scene sometimes, but we don't see them racing with established teams, and they're going to have to find some guys to work with if they want a chance to advance here tonight.
Yeah, teamwork is going to be big, and you're going to see it happen in a few different ways. Michael Trasquero, I think, will kind of find some friends in the Jack Shack. I think those groups work together well. Tyler Vickery, one of his drivers for Team PGR, is in this race as well. I could see Mike working with Tyler if he gets into a position up near the front of this race. Beyond them, John Ward, Danny Barnes for Hyper are both in this last chance qualifier race. So we'll see if they're working together for Hyper here over the next little bit. McCullough Motorsports has some representation as well. Obviously with Chris McCullough, Mark Vondell, and Ron Morris that will all be working together also. Teamwork in the prelims, I think, was something that was not really frowned upon, but it was also a little bit more difficult to deal with in that, only 5 guys get into the Summer Slam in each prelim, and only 13 advance in general out of 28 to 30 cars in each prelim. So teamwork wasn't really as big a deal because you might be fighting over too few spots. You might be putting too many eggs in one basket. In this race, though, 15 of our 40 starters make it into the field for tomorrow afternoon's main event, to where a team like the Jack Shack, who we know for sure has at least 3 cars in this event, is going to benefit from working together. They can all 3 get into a spot and not have as much stress on potentially eliminating one another from that transfer position.
Well, quick recap on some of the winners that we saw from the prelims. They kind of set a trend with it being a lot of the veterans. Prelim 1, we saw Garrett Maines get the job done. That was one of the favorites going into that prelim. And then you looked at some of the other ones, some of the big names that came out of it. Matthew Baker, he got the job done in his prelim. We know how good he is in the Xfinity cars. Jeff Merck, Andrew Navarro also got the job done. And then, of course, ERA Omega Spring Cup winner Cody Nagels, he was also able to survive and win in his prelim as well. So those guys are all set for the feature tomorrow. That's some of the big names out. Now, looking at the format of this race here tonight, we'll get more into it once the race gets started, but just a little bit shorter, 45 laps. The biggest difference being no fast repair and a little bit less fuel. So we're going to have at least 1 pit stop, potentially 2. But even the bigger one, Dawson, that no fast repair, as a driver, how is that going to change your approach from what we did in the prelims?
Well, here's the problem. It would normally probably make your race a little bit safer. Obviously, for tomorrow afternoon, that'll be the case as well, where guys are obviously going to be way more on edge about what they do, how much they are willing to give early in the race. Whereas tonight, though, that's kind of the dilemma. Yeah, you don't have a fast repair, but it's a little bit shorter. It's a little bit less fuel. Track position will be even more important in this race. So it's a mental dilemma. Do you want to try to hang back? Is that too much of a risk? Do you want to try to go forward? You don't have the guarantee that you had in your prelim races. You're limited to now one car for this entire race. So it's going to be interesting to see these guys attack it, because it's a dilemma. For me, I don't think I would change the way I race personally. I think track position is way too important, especially with potentially 2 green flag pit stops on tap.
And now remember that these drivers will not have to qualify for this LCQ. Their qualifying order was set by where they finished in the prelims, so that starting order will be based off of that. And then for tomorrow's feature, starting order will have also been determined already from the prelim. And for example, the winner of Heat 1 will start on the pole. Winner of Heat 2 will start second, so on and so forth. Jeff Merck being the last winner of Prelim 5, he will start back in 5th. So we continue to look forward to that event and everything that it's going to bring to it. We've already talked about payouts. We've talked about what to expect here tonight. As for what to expect tomorrow, Dawson, this is a little bit of a setup, again, with that idea of no fast repair here tonight. That'll be the same tomorrow. Fuel going to be in a little bit of a different setup, but the point is, this race, 45 laps tomorrow, 188 laps. So you got to think about the long-term game there. As for this one, I think track position is important. You got to get it from the start, and you got to try to maintain it.
Yeah, like I was just saying, track position is completely king. It's been king all day, in my opinion. The guys that have track position typically in these prelim races have gone on to become those top 5 drivers that we'll see in tomorrow afternoon's main event. For this race, it's going to be even more important that you stay at the front, that you stay out of the inevitable trouble. I don't think this race will go caution-free, and that is not a shot against these drivers. In fact, it's a testament to the desperation that this race holds. Again, it's called a last chance qualifier. There's desperation attached to those words. There'll be desperation attached to the race. And so you'll see it reflected on the racetrack. The problem is you have one less car, but I still think track position is king. If I were one of these drivers, I would want to get up front, if not already, and I would want to stay there and kind of control my own destiny.
Well, how about some of the drivers that actually snuck in kind of last second? Some of them big names too, and I know you talked about a few of them earlier, but the 3 that I'm thinking the most about is John Ward, Christopher McCullough, and then Michael Triscaro. All 3 drivers, expected to have a little bit of a better run in their prelim, but a lot of them were taken out by an incident near the end that prevented them from, of course, having the chance to advance straight to the feature. However, they were still able to sneak into this last chance qualifier. So we'll see if any of those guys decide to work together, if they decide to work with their own respected teams. But then, we look at some of the names of some of these single guys. How about Larry McDonald? He thought at the end of his prelim he wasn't going to be racing in this. Well, race control went over a last-second call that ended up shifting up that 80 car just to the last position to advance to this last chance qualifier. And speaking of that rule by race control, Dawson, we've already seen a couple drivers that got penalized and actually missed a chance to advance for a last lap move they made that maybe led to an incident. So how do you kind of weigh in that aggression level at the end? You want to go for it, but is there a certain line that you got to draw for yourself to not cross in order to get yourself in trouble?
Again, that's kind of the dilemma. You obviously you want to go for everything. You want to lay all your cards on the table. And we're going to say that a lot tonight. We're going to say the words, lay your cards on the table, backs against the wall, kind of phrases like that all night. But here's the problem. You can only go so far. Obviously, we've seen a couple of drivers throughout the day get penalized, end up losing their spot, whether that be, guys that finished top 5, guys that finished 6th through 13th, that now will no longer be racing tonight or tomorrow afternoon. So ultimately, you have to watch those back. As a driver, you go back and you watch the film, and you just see, okay, here's what this guy did. It's obvious you can't do that, and it's obvious how race control is going to call that in the moment. So now I know I can write that down in my mental notebook. I have to leave more room when making a pass, or I have to push a little bit less aggressive when I'm third in line. Drivers write this stuff down in their mental notebook. I'm coming into this race. They know now how race control is going to call a certain situation, so they have that line in their mind now. They're still going to lay it out all on the table, and when push comes to shove, sometimes you still end up crossing that line. It's a really tough mental dilemma as a driver.
Well, warm-ups are underway, so that means we're getting closer to the start of the Last Chance Qualifier here tonight, the last step towards making it to the PGR Summer Slam 499. Again, 25 drivers have already locked themselves in, looking to see who the last 15 are going to be with this Last Chance Qualifier. So we'll take this time just to, again, briefly talk a little bit more about, well, I guess I should say shout out the sponsors and then shout out, of course, the event itself and all the dedication from a lot of the PGR members that went into it. So we do want to give a big shout out again to VRX Simulators, Prime Hydration, along with Kanawha Valley Key and Fob, McCullough Motorsports Money Racing for their support, along with Butt Kicker, who is actually going to give away a unit to one of the drivers one of the first 100 drivers that had signed up for the event. And then, of course, PGR, you look at Matthew Baker, Michael Triscaro, the two driving forces behind this whole event, all the recruitment races, all the promotion that went into getting it set up. And, boy, they've done such a great job. And I know that the drivers have already seen the payoff on track so far today. And I know that they've been excited to see the crowd that's been tuning in so far. So hopefully we can keep that going. We're looking forward to an even bigger crowd tomorrow. We did reach a total of 150 at peak today and 1,600 views. So we do want to thank you all, of course, for tuning in and sticking with us even through some of those technical difficulties, which we're working on. We're trying to get sorted out. But at the end of the day, we're both, well, Dawson, you're not anymore, but we were both recent college students. We're doing the best we can with what we've got. So we appreciate everyone working with us. And with that, we're going to go ahead and head to an ad break, and when we come back, we'll get right down trackside and get into the starting grid and get the LCQ kicked off. Stick with us here on PGR eSports.
I played a couple of simulators and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
Make you feel like you're really driving, it feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Have created our own drink company. The fastest growing sports drink in history.
We will run! We will run! Ladies and gentlemen, we got the monkey is prime! This season, we are hydrated!
The official sports drink of the UFC. It's time! Oh, that's good.
Hello, everybody. Welcome into Talladega Super Speedway live for the Last Chance Qualifier in the 2024 PGR Summer Slam 499. Pre-race is wrapped up, as is the warm-up. Drivers down trackside. They are getting gridded up, and we are getting ready to get this thing rolling. Again, joining me in the booth, if you're just tuning in, Dawson Wise. We're ready to go, and so with that, we head right down trackside and get things kicked off here tonight. The final race with your starting grid on the pole for the Last Chance Qualifier. Again, this was based off the finishing order in those prelims, so these guys did not do a separate qualifying effort here for the Last Chance Qualifier. But it's Clint Griffin in the 43 who will start on pole here tonight. To his outside for the Jack Shack, it's Trevor Osnoff in the 89. William Price starts back in the third position. John Ellis Jr. to his outside in fourth. One of the fan favorites, Dale Tanhart, will start back in the fifth spot. Moving on back to the sixth position, it's going to be Michael Anthony. Row number 4, Tyler Vickery in the 124 with James Steck to his outside in 8th. Steve Tucker in 9th, and Chase Mistretta rounding out your top 10.
Row 6, it may say Caitlin McKay, that is Tanner Kasinger in the 26 machine. With the clarification earlier, starting 12th to be Jared Haynes in the 7 for One Stop Motorsports. Row 7, the Jack Shack entry, Joe Huerta, 38 on timing and scoring, the 1 on the side of that Toyota Supra. And to his outside, it'll be Nim Silva in the 51 machine. Row 8, David Giusti in the 8, alongside Aubrey Thompson for BAR in the 69. Row 9, starting 17th to be Josh Sutherland in the 62, and 18th to be Andrew Harris in the 87. And rounding out the top 20 on row number 10 to be Adam Parks in the 069 and Chris McCullough in the 04.
Francisco Villarreal starts in 21st with DeAndre Kane to his outside in 22nd. Danny Barnes for Hyper Motorsports starts back in 23rd with Joey Allen to his outside in 24th. Ron Morris Jr. from McCullough Motorsports starts 25th. Paul Turner to his outside in 26th. Axel Smith 27th with Zach Saunders in 28th. Bryce Saucier in 29th, and Alec Martinez rounds out your top 30.
Row 16, Ambrose Kniebel for Blind Squirrel Racing will start from 31st, with Mark Mondell from McCullough Motorsports in 32nd. Row 17, Joey Galati will start 33rd, with Ted Gamble in 34th. John Ward will start from 35th, the owner of Hyper Motorsports, and Steven Scott will start in 36th. And the last 4 cars in the field, row 19, Wyatt Gray in the 54 will start 37th. It'll be series owner Michael Triscaro having to go back to front and start in 38th. Final row of the field, Larry McDonald in the 80 and Chris Carter in the 25.
Looking at your race info here for the Last Chance Qualifier, a little different still in the Xfinity cars, but distance shortened up by 5 laps, 50% fuel. That's another change as well. Still unlimited tires, but no fast repair. Fixed setups and 3 green-white checkers if we were to need it. Track temp still scorching at 124, 82 degrees, 20% humidity. Partly cloudy skies and winds at 2 miles an hour. That's the weather outside. And last but not least, Talladega Superspeedway, the track that we are at here throughout the weekend, tonight and into tomorrow. 2.65 miles in length, over 30 degrees of banking in the corners, and a lot of pushing and shoving. That's the name of the game to win here at Talladega. All right, pace car pulls off, and that means we are getting ready to go green for the final time here tonight. 15 drivers looking to lock their way in. The rest are going to go home. Who's going to get the job done? We're getting ready to find out. Field in the hands of Clint Griffin and Trevor Osronoff. Green flag is in the air. We're racing at Talladega.
At the line, lap 1 complete. William Price in the 33 on the point. And don't look now, just as Dale Jr. did in those colors so many years ago, it is Dale Tanhart leading the outside lane in that 81 machine. It almost looked like shades of Jr. there for a moment as he picked his way through the little bit of the front of the field, and he leads the outside line down the Alabama Gang Super Stretch. It's Tanhart alongside Price, Tyler Vickery, Tanner Gasinger, and Clint Griffin, the top 5 and a 3.
Pied Piper of Talladega is what Dale Tanhart's trying to be right now, but on that outside, he's going to need some help, and they're just not as organized as the first 4 cars are on the inside. William Price getting a really good push right now from Tyler Vickery. Now, we noted, Dawson, that restart was pretty interesting with some of the guys that fell back. Trevor Osronoff, John Ellis Jr., 2 of the most notable ones. They found spots in line. In fact, looks like John Ellis Jr. is going even further back than Trevor decided to go. And then the one of Joe Herta, who's currently stepped out of line as well. But fuel mileage, we need to talk about it early because it could certainly be interesting. 50%. I think that's right around 20 laps for these drivers, Dawson. So do you think part of that is something to do with saving fuel?
I mean, it could be. If you can stretch it even an extra 2 to 3 laps, really 3, I think is what we're looking at. So if you can get to about lap 23, you're going to be able to make it on 1 pit stop, and that could completely change the race. It could flip the race on its head. So these guys up front right now, it may be looking good for them at the moment. The problem is they're not saving as much fuel here up front. They're not going to be in as good a spot, perhaps, as those cars are. I'm not sure if that's exactly what they're doing. Maybe they're just going back there to save their cars. Again, no fast repair. Maybe they think these guys up front are going to race too hard early, but it could also be fuel mileage. It absolutely is playing a part in their decision.
4 laps now complete. By the way, quick question for anybody watching in the chat. Please do let us know, how does the race audio with our broadcaster mic audio sound? Is it mixing together good? Is it too quiet, too loud, or anything in between? We certainly appreciate that. But back on track, 2x2. As they climb off the banking, off of turn number 2, onto the Alabama Gang back straightaway. And up front, William Price continues to lead over Tyler Vickery. Dale Tanhart on the outside with the 8 machine. Michael Anthony up there as well. All really good runs early for a lot of different drivers. But Michael Anthony, a driver who, again, kind of felt like flew under the radar for most of his prelim, was able to sneak his way up and in towards the end. And he's looking to take advantage here tonight, but he's still going to have a lot of work ahead of him as, you know, I know we see some racing right now, but that's not going to be the defining moment. The defining moments are going to be those pit stops. You know, we talked about at least one, potentially two, whatever the case may be. It's going to be the money stop. We saw earlier what happened to some of the drivers that may have messed up on their pit stop. We only had one prelim that allowed for those green flag stops, but for John Ellis Jr. and his sake, boy, he would have been in trouble if we would not have got a caution after he made a mistake on his pit stop. So, gonna have to be nice and smooth through that. But first, we got to make it to there. And right now, these cars are all over the place. A lot of guys seem to be struggling with handling with that 124-degree track temp.
Yeah, the luck comes and goes, talking about John Ellis, and then sometimes it goes your way, sometimes it doesn't. Luckily for John today, he got the good end of that luck in his prelim race and was able to make his way at least into this LCQ, almost made his way right into the feature, but he finds himself towards the tail end of the field. Most of those guys do. That kind of dropped out of the field on lap number 1 of this race, and again, it kind of goes into what we talked about during the prelims, where our guys' mindsets at. Well, we know what William Price and Dale Tanhart, Michael Anthony, Tyler Vicker, we know what these guys are thinking, and that's get up front and stay up front, which is what I said I would do until I kind of looked at the fuel gauge and figured, okay, maybe it's worth it to go to the back. But if you've ever watched any of Dale Tanhart's content, he doesn't ride at the back. Dale Tanhart looking good right now, leading the outside lane.
I was going to say, I don't know any Dale Earnhardt, Dale Tanhart, whichever one you want to call it, that would be content with sitting towards the back of the field at a super speedway. So, you know, Dale Earnhardt, he's similar to Mooncar in the sense of they like to get in these races and lead as many laps as they can. But, of course, right now he continues to lead the outside in the 81, just behind him the 8 of Michael Anthony, doing a really good job pushing, but hasn't been able to get him clear just yet. That's allowed William Price to continue to hold control on the bottom of the racetrack with now 7 of 45 laps complete. And also, I mean, you got to think the, whatever you want to call it, the nerves or the stress level for this race has to be a lot higher because, you know, you can't think to yourself now, okay, well, I might have a chance to race later. No, this is it. If it doesn't happen here, it's not going to happen at all. So, you know, no fast repair. If you get in a wreck, you know your night's over. So you are probably extra kind of on edge right now as to what's going on. And I wouldn't be shocked if some of these guys feel like things are getting a little bit too crazy up here if they just try to fall out and drop back. Oh, here we go. First wreck of the night, the 47. Hard into the wall. Mark Von Dell's going to go for a slide.
Oh, no,
oh,
John
man.
Ward.
A couple
Trevor
of others
Oswernoth.
pile
no.
in. That's a huge hit for John Ward. That's going to bring his chances of fighting for a PGR Summer Slam to an end. He's not even, oh, man, that's a tough break. Motor's blown. He's going to tow. Looks like Steven Scott Jr. For a minute, the car looked like it was crab walking, but that may have just been because he was on the banking here. He might be okay, but you see the 97 there. That's Axel Smith. He's not. The 97 Wendy's machine. That's going to be a night ender for him as well. Joey Galati, huge damage on the 661. I mean, this may not be the big one, but this is certainly a big one for this early in the race with no fast repair. This is going to end a lot of nights. And that's just, I mean, I'm not even really sure what happened here. It looked like they were 2 by 2, and then all of a sudden, we had a car step out of line. So let's see where it all goes wrong here. Oh, man. 47, something major had to have happened here for that car to shoot down the banking as quickly as it did. Now, it may relate to some contact here from out back from Joey Galati here. So watch, again, the 47 here. We'll get that up for you. That's Ted Gamble. And so, oh, there's a big checkup on the outside. You see the fire out of the pipes there for Joey Allen, and then the 15 as well. And then that checkup, it doesn't quite make it to the 47, but he's trying to check up as a result. And if we play this full speed, let's see if you can actually see the fire out of the pipes again. Yeah, there you go. You see it. And when the 47 checks up, Joey Galati not quite able to check up in time. And so he just runs into the back of the 47 on the left rear there. And when he does, that turns him down the racetrack into, it looks like, I was trying to figure out if that was the 90 or the 80. I think that's the 90 machine. And that's a huge hit back up into the outside wall. And it's just nothing to do. Excuse me, that was actually, looks like, yeah, it was the 90. I thought it might have been Larry McDonald for just a second, but then John Ward and multiple others here are going to just pile in with absolutely nowhere to go. Looks like it might have been Adam Parks in the 69 that tried to sneak through there. Had no luck either. And Ward, oh man, I think Ward had the right idea. He was checking up, but just unfortunately the lane he tried to commit to and couldn't go anywhere else was the lane that 661 slid into. That's just a tough break early on, Dawson.
Oh, man, it's a tough break for some big names that had gone to the back to avoid this right here. Trevor Oswernoth, Joe Huerta, a couple of others. Obviously, John Ward, Ron Morris involved. His front end is off his machine. Mark Von Dell is involved. John Ellis may very well be involved as well. I'm looking at Ellis and Triscaro. They may be okay. They may have picked the right lane and been able to skate by. But several big names, including a few of the Jack Shack cars involved as well as John Ward.
saw Ambrose Knievel get a little bit of damage as well there, and this is the onboard view for Joey Galati as he slides down, and there's nothing he can do once he's wrecked. And, you know, I know a lot of people are probably mad at Joey right now, but at the end of the day, when there's big checkups like that in the back this early when you're not expecting them, you know, it almost kind of catches you off guard, Dawson, and so you always got to be ready, especially in these big packs, regardless of where you're running, for something of this nature to happen. And unfortunately, a lot of guys had to learn a very hard lesson, and we'll go over the official list of guys that it looks like nights have come to an end for. As we go back live, as we take one more view there from the wall cam in 3 and 4, and that's a big scramble. Looks like Trevor Osmanoff, I think, snuck through. If he got damaged, it certainly couldn't have been too much, but there you see some of the cars sitting in the pits now. I mean, look at this list. John Ward, Ted Gamble, Axel Smith has made it back out on track, but no front end on that race car is not going to make him very competitive. Larry McDonald, he sits in the pits right now as well. Joey Galati, Mark Vondell, Ron Morris Jr., Adam Parks, Jared Haynes. I mean, all drivers that have sustained some level of damage, goes pretty much all the way through Ambrose Knievel. And then Trevor Osmanoff, Nim Silva, they start to roll back out. I think they'll still be okay. So you already have a handful, almost 10 drivers potentially, that are no longer going to be having a chance to fight for a transfer spot from the LCQ to the feature. And does that change the mindset now, right? Because you go from racing against 40 drivers for 15 spots to 30 drivers for 15 spots.
I mean, it changes it a little bit. The biggest thing I think it would change, especially for some of these guys at the front, is, all right, let's calm down. Let's log some laps. Let's get back to what we were doing during the prelim races, and that's give each other plenty of room. Don't stack up to where those checkups can happen, to where wrecks can happen as well, because there were a few moments here at the front where I thought that maybe wrecks would start further up than even where it did right there. So if you're these guys up front, I'm thinking as a driver, I would be thinking that this would maybe calm things down a little bit, and we try to settle into a groove. But you know, when it goes down from 40 to 30, obviously your chances just got a little bit better, because now, you know, instead of, you know, racing against potentially 25 guys back there on that 15th spot, you're racing against 15. So in that regard, it makes it easier as a driver, but also you kind of want this race to calm down a little bit.
Yeah, you certainly do. 10 of 45 laps complete. Going to go back green here with 11 officially complete. So still going to be at least, oh, man. Oh, Ambrose Knievel. Oh, man, that was scary. I don't know what happened to the 04 right there, but he came flying into the picture. He almost ran into the field at probably 120 plus. Oof, boy, that was a close call for Ambrose. I'm not sure what happened there. I will say this, I don't know if that's something to do with his damage. I actually did have a similar thing happen just last Sunday in the MMS race, where came up to the field, you try to hit your normal braking point, but something with the damage you have just makes the car not brake at all. And I wonder if the splitter hit the ground. I'm not even sure here, but watch this. We've got to back this up because this was wild for Ambrose Knievel here. He's catching the field, and then, I mean, look at these guys. He's just flying around these guys, and then, oh my goodness, just barely snaking through the gap of some of these cars. That was a really close call, but I guess a nice job by Ambrose there to not hit anybody when it was all said and done. All right, back at the front we go. Field's been shaken up. Tyler Vickery leads. William Price in second. Caitlin McKay third. Christopher McCullough fourth. Dale Tanhart rounds out your top five, and Chase Mistretta rounds out row number 3. Here we go. Rolling back through the tribal and into the Geico restart zone. Can Tyler Vickery get his first couple laps led of the weekend? We'll find out. Green flag is back in the air. 11 laps complete at Talladega.
Well, he's led his first lap now for sure under green as he leads the field back to the start-finish line. It's William Price and company on the outside. Chris McCullough has made his way to the front. So too has Chase Mistretta in behind him. And then behind them, very interesting, some of these guys that had good drives earlier. Aubrey Thompson, Josh Sutherland, both had really nice drives in their prelim races. So both guys to watch out for in this race as well. Price up the outside. Look at Dale Tanhart to the middle. He splits, but he gets no help. He's in the sucker hole, as we like to call it, and now the help's going to come back to him. Mistretta and Josh Sutherland, I can't imagine they're very happy with the 81 car right now.
Ooh, watch out here. Oh, Aubrey Thompson and Sutherland, man, both fighting for the same piece of real estate. I think Thompson, with the veteran experience, realized there that 62 may not have saw him, so he kind of gave way once things got a little too close for comfort, but he's got to be careful. Almost got himself split by Joey Allen on the bottom right there. Either way, though, Christopher McCullough now gets pushed out to the lead by Dale Tanhart, who he dropped in front of to help catch a little bit of a draft when he made that move to the middle. And now Sutherland shuffles up to the lead pusher on the outside. How about the 8 machine now trying to get back up here as well? Chase Mistretta, what can he do here? Looking, this is kind of his first big event on the money racing side, and one of the drivers still relatively new to money racing, but he's impressed so far this weekend, advancing to this LCQ, and now he's got to try to finish the job by advancing to the feature. Dale Tanhart still leads on the outside, but oh man, that pushing's getting really offset here. Hold your breath.
Yeah, it's getting really sketchy up here at the front. Tanhart moves a little too high. The line has to adjust to him on exit, and again, we're getting very lucky right now. Extremely lucky that we're able to keep racing green, because there's been a few times again now that I'm wondering if the pushing's getting a little too much. We're getting a little too aggressive. Big push to the back of Dale Tanhart here from Josh Sutherland. Sutherland, he's running a good race as well. Kind of went with Tanhart there late in that move to the middle, and now has followed him all the way to the front. But Chris McCullough is the man on the point, and the man that's going to get split. Tanhart again. Dale Tanhart, no prisoners tonight in the LCQ race. Chris McCullough is headed backwards.
Vicious move, but a beautiful move at that by the 81 of Dale Tanhart. We talked about he likes the lead, and there's some drivers that they don't want anybody else in front when they've got to run. Dale took advantage, and that three-wide split may not have made him a friend in Christopher McCullough, but it got him the lead now and in control of this race on the inside. He's getting pushed from the 33 of William Price. Tyler Vickery still up there as well, but now Joshua Sutherland, he'll look for a run on the high side with Chase Mastretta now as the lead pusher. The 8 of David Gusti still in third on the outside, and then there's Christopher McCullough. He was able to find a spot after getting shuffled back a few positions.
But bunch of scrambling here at the front of the field, and this is kind of exactly the desperation I figured would happen in this race. The problem is, this really isn't consequential when you think about it. Yes, I know there's some, a little bit of cash on the line for the winner of this race, but at the end of the day, top 15 make it in, and this is racing for first through about, let's say back there to about Michael Anthony, which would be the 11th position. This has been a scramble up front among guys that would all be in the race if the race ended right now, so it's exactly what I figured. But the drivers back there towards the tail end, Joe Huerta, Francisco Villarreal, Alec Martinez, Mark Vondel, Jared Haynes, they're the guys I think that are in the better spot here, the smarter spot, and that these guys are all scrambling up front, and those guys are saying, you guys can have that. We're gonna still have cars when this race comes down to it.
Yeah, I agree. That long single file line is a result of that no fast repair. We didn't see the draft get separated this much, at least not this early in any of the prelims, because everybody had a fast repair. You figure you're safe at the back, but worst case scenario, something happens, you got that fast repair in your pocket. Not the case for this LCQ, so even being towards the back may not be enough. That's why some of them space it out even more. Now here's Larry McDonald in the 80, who again was involved in that first incident, and so as it stands right now, he is not on pace with the leaders. In fact, he is back in 36th. Last car on the lead lap, Joey Galati on back. They're all out of this race, so Larry McDonald definitely going to need a caution at some point to have a chance to get back in this race. And up front with the way they're racing, that is certainly a possibility. The 15 machine, Zach Saunders in the Domino's Ford Mustang, took a peek there to the outside, but nothing doing, no help to be found, so he quickly put that nose back right down in line. And then Ron Morse Jr. just behind him with Christopher Carter. Those are two of the veterans. In fact, those two actually used to be teammates, I think, way back in the day, and we'll see if they decide to go outside. Here's a move from the 8. Nope, just tucking out for air, and they continue to roll side by side down the back.
Kind of an interesting moment. This is going to be a cool moment here as Mastretta drops along the bumper of Dale Tanhart. Both Dale Jr. paint schemes, now nose to tail on the inside. And Chris McCullough, after getting split, again, not too happy with those guys to his inside right now, but nonetheless going to continue to roll forward. He'll get back to the point, and he has Aubrey Thompson along with him. Michael Anthony is torn back through the field as well. They have all three made it back to the front. McCullough will go top to bottom here, I imagine, into 1. Lap 17, we're getting close to halfway already. The pit stop looms. It's only one pit stop now, but it still has to loom in the back of these guys' minds, although I don't know if the top 15, they're certainly not racing like there's a pit stop. I'm not sure if they're even thinking about it right now.
You almost wonder if some of these drivers took notes from what they saw from some of the leaders, or at least the front of the pack in these prelims, and they're trying to match it. And, it's good practice, too, of course, for tomorrow if you make the race, but as it stands right now, I mean, these tires, they're going to continue to wear out. These cars will get tougher and tougher to drive, and I think it's only a matter of time before we see somebody get loose somewhere on this racetrack in one of these turns. And once that happens, I think that's when we're going to see our next big wreck. We're still, you figure, 10 to 15 laps away at least from seeing that next green flag pit stop. So, I like the aggression level, at least up front, but I still think that just a little bit too aggressive at this point. The field starts to tighten up now further back. All that gap has closed up, and there's a little bit of single file actually. Looks like being led right now by the 29 machine of Alec Martinez. He's trying to play conservative. Mark Mondell got his car repaired after that first incident, as did the 69 and the 93. 77 of Paul Turner back there as well. Ambrose Kniebel has fallen off pace. Looks like as a couple others, Joey Galati has as well. Steven Scott Jr. was the man in the 77, by the way. And so up front, the aggression continues further back. Just save fuel and ride. I think that's the name of the game.
Yeah, I don't see the point in racing this hard early in this race. I know it's fun to watch, but it is incredibly nerve-wracking. Not only for, I imagine, the guys on track, but also, for me as well, in terms of at any point a wreck could break out. At any point, a bad push, somebody gets loose, somebody gets offset, something happens, a mistake is made, and then all of a sudden the field is blowing apart, and a bunch of the guys at the front that are in a really good spot right now are not in as good a spot anymore. And again, it's even more nerve-wracking with no fast repair. I mean, this continues to be really, really antsy racing here because you only have one car. Thompson top to bottom, he gets the lead. Anthony will now at his outside with Zach Saunders in tow. And it's Sutherland. There you have Ron Morris and Chris Carter. And don't look now, but further back, John Ellis, Michael Triscaro, Trevor Osronath, Joe Huerta, Wyatt Gray, those guys are starting to come forward. They've started to move to the outside. Now they're up just outside that top 10, 13, 14 car range is about where you'll find the 21, the 34, the 89, the 1, and the 54. All cars I imagine will be contenders come races in.
Yeah, and those are 4 cars we expect to work together here through the night to advance. And I mean, as it stands right now, Dawson, I want to make a point of, we keep talking about how conservative everybody needs to be, but I always felt like as a driver, when you go into these races with the mindset of, I got to be really careful to make it through, that's when things seem to happen. When you go into it with the mindset of, what, I don't really care what happens, I'm just going to try to go out there and stay at the front, it seems like that's when things work out. That's what Aubrey Thompson's trying to do right now as he continues to go up, down, try to control both lanes, and it's working well, but we saw Aubrey with a couple dicey moves and a couple blocks that were hard to cover in his prelims, so he's got to be careful. I'm sure he's made a couple adjustments, but I mean, up 15 positions for that first place car of Aubrey Thompson and up 26 for the second place car of Zach Saunders, and in fact, he's going to go the lead for the first time now tonight.
And this is literally a visual representation of what we were talking about in terms of the guys that want to go forward and race, and the guys that are saying you're doing a little bit too much. Plus 15, Aubrey Thompson. Plus 26, Zach Saunders. Plus 13, Josh Sutherland. Plus 19, Ron Morris. Plus 13, Chris McCullough. And plus 32, Chris Carter. And then look a little further back. John Ellis, minus 10. Trevor Osronoff, minus 16. Joe Huerta, minus 7. Clint Griffin, James Steck, Jared Haynes, they've all gone backwards because they're saying, I want to save my car. It literally is a visual of how these guys came into this race, how these guys have attacked the opening stage. Although now, Ellis, Triscaro, Osronoff, and Huerta are all starting to, again, to move back to the front. So now, they've taken their time off. It's about to the halfway point. A pit stop still to go. In fact, the window for that opens probably here in the next 5 to 6 laps. So now they're starting to get in position. Okay. Now we can start to get where we want to be when that pit stop occurs. They waited long enough. Now they're slowly, carefully calculating their way to the front.
Saw us briefly with the camera zoomed in there on Michael Triscaro. Of course, he joined us in the booth for Prelim 4, Prelim 5. And the reason I mentioned that is you wonder if he maybe, he got the chance to race in one of these, but did he also get the chance to see some things that he's going to use to his advantage right here? The 15, Zach Saunders, got split, and unfortunately, he's going to be going to the back here. That is a train that has left the station in the middle, and they are going by the 15 way quicker than he's going to be able to find a spot. So that'll separate things up a little bit here. Aubrey Thompson, though, he's not ready to be done. He'll jump back to the outside. No run there, so he'll have to wait for the push from the 62 of Josh Sutherland. Ron Morris Jr. there as well, but the inside is really rolling now with Michael Anthony leading the way. Chase Mistretta second. Aubrey Thompson, though, here comes the push.
Yeah, Aubrey Thompson's help has finally arrived on the outside, and you see that corresponding surge by that lane as Josh Sutherland gets to his aid. Josh Sutherland, I'll tell you what, he's really impressed me today. He's really run well. He's run smart, and he's been able to hang up front. Even with the big dogs in his prelim, he's kind of come in and put a little bit of a shock to some of these guys this afternoon now into the night. And now Ron Morris, how much trust does he have in the 62? Michael Anthony got a little bit out of shape, and there was that getting loose, I think, that we're starting to see. The tires are old enough now that guys are starting to struggle. Thompson to the inside in front of Michael Anthony. Josh Sutherland leads the LCQ at the line, 22 laps to go.
Handling going to be a major issue throughout the rest of this race, and it's only going to get worse Now, we already talked about some of the drivers that were moving towards the back for now, but we think that was planned. Of course, Michael Triscaro, Joe Herta, a couple others. Another one of them was Clint Griffin, who, remember, we actually saw him up near the front out of the gate, but he kind of faded back a little bit for a while. He's been in that position since, but I wonder if the 43 isn't potentially working with some of the Jack Shack teammates here. Sits behind Joe Herta. He looks pretty fast, had a good starting spot. Again, started second, and I think he's waiting to get through this pit stop, and then he's going to try to make his way to the front.
I agree. Clint Griffin, I love that paint scheme aboard his machine. I talked about it earlier in the prelim races. A Ken Block inspired paint job aboard that Ford Mustang, and I love that. Obviously, we lost Ken Block this past year, so a nice fitting tribute for Clint Griffin to go with the Ken Block colors, and so far running well just inside those transfer spots. Right in behind, like you said, the Jack Shack entry, Joe Huerta. Look at where Ellis and Triscaro and Huerta are now, by the way. 3rd, 4th, 5th on the outside line. Now, Trevor Osmernoth was with them, but he's still mired about 15 rows deep in the field. But those three have slowly and carefully.
And we are having just a brief little hiccup. All right, and should be good to go. So we went to the Be Right Back screen just to make sure we could try to get that sorted out. It looks like we had a couple of brief spikes there, but things seem to have simmered down for now. So move it back live now, and 2x2, they're going to be going around one of the lappers here. I think that's Larry McDonald. Yep, sure enough, it is. And so 21 to go. You talk about that pit window coming up, but now they're going to split 3 wide. Look who's ready to come to the front. It's some of the Jack Shack teammates. John Ellis Jr. is going to go 3 wide around the 26 of Tanner Kessinger.
Yeah, Kessinger, that's a tough break right there. Got some tunnel vision when Steve Tucker dropped to the inside. And now you realize that help that Dale Tanhart got when he made this move is not coming. Tanner Kessinger, unfortunately, still continues to get hung out. Now Wyatt Gray drops out of line, though, and will drop in behind Kessinger, and Joe Huerta may be the odd man out here as Kessinger gets a little bit of a push. Oh, boy, this may get really interesting. Oh, Kessinger, he wanted 4 wide right there.
They're going to go.
Concedes. They are going to go 4 wide.
4 wide through 3 and 4. Triscaro is in a bad spot to be in right now, but I think Joe Herta's trying to let off to get him back in line. They'll do that. By the way, I got to apologize. I said Kessinger. I meant to say I think it was Kessinger, so apologize if I pronounced the last name wrong. Again, we're going to have all these guys corrected by tomorrow, but, I mean, right now, 19 laps to go, and boy, that was a big sequence of events and a big moment through 3 and 4, but worked out well for John Ellis Jr. He now finds himself in the lead, getting pushed by that 26 machine, but on the inside now, how about the 1, Steve Tucker? We saw him running really well during his prelim. Things just didn't quite work out at the end, and he's getting pushed by Josh Sutherland.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's a pretty good combo on the bottom side against Sutherland, a guy that's impressed me all day. Steve Tucker ran well in his prelim as well back in prelim number 4. Really, a lot of these guys at the front right now were impressive in their prelim, just weren't able to quite get inside the top 5, and now find themselves in this race. John Ellis, though, no surprise here, the 21, as one car dips to pit road. Trying to see which car that might be.
It was Joey Galati.
I think it was. But regardless, up front, it's still John Ellis. And now there's a long single file line along that bottom side of the racetrack. That top lane continues to get shorter. And what that tells me, Austin, is that pit stops are upcoming very soon. The window, I believe, is open.
Yeah, that's kind of the well-known sign that pit stops are occurring pretty soon, is when everybody all of a sudden starts to get desperate to shuffle in somewhere on that inside line. And this is the best way to do it if you're the 26. Get pushed clear and drop down to the inside of the racetrack. The 54. Oh my goodness, Wyatt Gray almost got a little bit of tunnel vision, and they're still trying to fight for some elbow room, but they get it sorted out. And now that's here we go. We're gonna see our first round. Oh, looks like it's only 1, and it's Joshua Sutherland gonna come in by himself here.
It's 2. It's Tanner Kessinger.
Oh,
he completely blew it.
Oh man, that's a
blew pit road.
Big
Sutherland
mistake.
Sutherland may have as well. He was awfully quick at the line also, but. For sure, the 26, that's going to be a night ender without a caution. Unfortunately, a couple of penalties likely there to his machine.
Yeah, just a little bit of a mistake there for Kessinger. And, I mean, as it stands right now, we'll see here, but I just don't see. I agree. I don't see any way he didn't get a speeding penalty from that. Now, look at the 62 of Sutherland. He's going to go. No issues. And, yep, sure enough, Kessinger did get a penalty. And there was a couple other drivers that did make a stop there as well that were further back. Mark Vondell, Nim Silva, Paul Turner, and Joshua Sutherland, who we talked about, one of the drivers that let him in. He did not get a speeding penalty, so good news for any Sutherland fans out there. But coming off of turn 4 this time, do we see a couple more? Indeed we do, and it's going to be led in by John Ellis Jr.
Oh, everybody get down to speed. The tires are hot. They're old. Can everybody get it locked down okay? Maybe a little bit of trouble further back. Some contact. This is a ton of cars on pit road. I just realized the magnitude of cars. Pit road, a very busy place right about now. Some rush hour traffic.
Yeah, there may have been a little elbow to elbow going on there, but overall, everybody did a phenomenal job of getting in without any major issues right there. And looks like everybody actually located their pit box fine as well. Sometimes you get guys on the right-hand side and the left-hand side of pit road, and when they try to cross each other over, that's where you can also run into issues. But the 43 here, Clint Griffin, had the advantage of one of those first pit stalls, but he may have got a penalty. Nope, just a little bit laid off. And that's a big group that kind of came off all at the same time here. They got to get this sorted out quickly so they can get lined back up.
You got to get single file, really. You can kind of do double file on the apron at Talladega, but it's definitely a tough task. As the last several cars going to come on, the last two actually, Alec Martinez and the Hyper Motorsports entry of Danny Barnes. But it's a very tough ask trying to get off the apron of Talladega double file, but for the most part, looks like everybody did just that, and the big group that came in together appears to mostly have come out together.
Yeah, it looks like everybody did a pretty good job. Now the question is for Danny Barnes and Alec Martinez, how do they merge out of all this? That's what we'll find out when they get through 1 and 2 next time. But this whole group, they're going to try to get linked back up and get together. And once they do, it is going to be a fun finish. We're going to take a quick break, but we'll go side by side so you don't miss a thing, and we'll be back for the finish here at Talladega.
I played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
Make you feel like you're really driving. It feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Have created our own drink company. The fastest growing sports drink in history.
We won't run. We won't run. Ladies and gentlemen, we got Pilot.
Monkey is prime.
This season, we are hydrated.
The official sports drink of the UFC. It's time!
Oh, that's good.
I played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
Make you feel like you're really driving. It feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Welcome back to Talladega Super Speedway. 11 laps to go, and up front, it's John Ellis Jr. leading the way currently on the inside. Michael Triscaro, this is about as good as they could have planned things out to get themselves up front at the end. Joe Herta, Trevor Osronoff up there as well, and then Christopher McCullough. You see him second, the lead pusher on the inside as it stands. So coming to 10 to go, final pit stops have been completed. And whatever you see here for the lead pack, this is what's going to be fighting for those top 15 transfer positions. Now, you go back and look at kind of the second group that's formed up here, Dawson. It looks like it starts right around Danny Barnes. And then, I mean, it kind of extends all the way back here through. It looks like Paul Turner. So we could potentially add even more cars to this lead pack before it's all said and done. And what that means is we've still got a lot of drivers in contention here.
Yeah, they've got the draft as well, dude. Danny Barnes and company, that second group. They are within about a second of the back bumper of Alec Martinez, who is currently the final lead lap car. In fact, they're probably even less than that. A couple lap cars have tagged onto the back end of this group, namely Ambrose Kniebel and I believe the 47 as well. So those guys are absolutely going to be factors in this race. We're going to add about 7 more cars to the lead draft by the time all is said and done in this one. And it's going to be about 25 cars for 15 spots. Third line moving, almost trouble there between Clint Griffin and Alec Martinez, right behind Dale Tanhart, as Tanhart goes to the third lane, and he takes Alec Martinez with him. And now the question will be, is we'll go 4 wide for a moment. Oh my goodness, that was actually really close.
Sutherland, hold on. Boy, that was another close call for the 62 off before. Sorry to cut you off, Dawson,
4
but
wide.
Boy, that caught my attention right there as the 8 gets on
David
the apron.
Giusti. Oh
What?
my goodness.
Oh my goodness, there's a lot of handling trouble going on right now. I mean, we got to make it to the white flag, and I don't know if that's going to happen at this race, but Dale Tanhart, he's trying to get it going on the outside. He knows it's go time. He's got to make something happen now before it's too late, and he's going to get a little bit of help here. Aubrey Thompson, and then the 29 out back. We're going to see if they can get something going here. Will the help be enough? We'll find out. That's Alec Martinez, by the way. It looks like pushing on the outside in the 29.
Oh my goodness, look at these guys weaving back and forth down the back straightaway. I mean, they're going in a straight line, and it's just back and forth and back and forth. Aubrey Thompson to the point, power move, top to bottom. Aubrey Thompson, wow. Incredible move by the number 69 there. It's 3 wide behind him still, though. Triscaro going to be the lead pusher. Ellis in the middle with Osronoff. Tanhart top side with Alec Martinez. They do have some more help coming. I believe that was Alec. Yes, it is still Alec Martinez with Dale Tanhart, but they do have some more help coming as well in the form of Christopher Carter, Clint Griffin, and Sutherland, Josh Sutherland as well. 5 cars now in the outside line, and it's 5 rows of 3 wide, 15 spots on the line, and about 25 cars to battle for them.
We do need to mention that there is a payout for the winner of the LCQ. I believe it was $60, so you got to kind of weigh that in here too. How aggressive do you be? How much do you want that money? That's already doubling your entry fee if you're able to find yourself in victory lane here, but at the same time, it's the last chance qualifier, so this is it, right? You try to do some crazy move to go for the win. It doesn't work out. Maybe your chances are over to even make the race. So I think for this one, if I'm a driver, I'm really not too worried about going for that first place prize. You know, maybe if you're Michael Triscaro and you're in the right position, or even a guy like Trevor Osronoff, William Price, Dale Tanhart, and there's a situation that sets itself up, coming to the checkered in the travel, maybe you make the move then. But besides that, I mean, I think you just got to stay in line here, and if you're anywhere inside the top 10, you are being very, very careful about what moves you make.
Oh, Trevor Osronoff scared me for a second there in the 89 in the middle lane. He got way up towards Dale Tanhart's left for a quarter panel and almost sparked what at this point would be a massive incident at the front of the field. I agree, though. If I'm one of these drivers up towards the front in a Tanhart's position, maybe an Ellis, Osronoff, Triscaro, Thompson, unless it is guaranteed, as Tanhart now inherits the lead all the way top to bottom, huge move. But, unless it's guaranteed, that I'm still going to make it in and not jeopardize myself or the person around me. Aubrey Thompson, there it is. Aubrey Thompson gets turned. Triscaro goes sideways, and now they're going to wreck in the tri-oval. Huerta, Osronoff, big time damage. Price around as well. The big one strikes with 7 laps to go.
Oh, man, you knew it was coming. It was just a matter of time. Handling was getting way too tough with these cars. And boy, that's huge damage right there on the one car. I can't even tell if his right front is actually even rolling properly. Yeah, it is, but it's bent pretty far to the right, so this will be race-ending damage for Steve Tucker. Unfortunate break after he did a phenomenal job in both his prelim and the LCQ. Just unfortunately, things did not work out. Now this got really interesting a couple different times here. We saw a couple times through 3 and 4. It all started though with a big move from Dale Tanhart, a phenomenal move to get himself out in front, and then things are going to kind of develop from there. Aubrey Thompson, though, was the first car to actually go spinning. So let's see if we can get back here to the 69 and figure out exactly what happened right here. go to TV3. So Dale Tanhart had already gotten in front by that point. You see Thompson on the bottom of the racetrack right here, and then as they come off of turn 4, just not clear. Well, yeah, I think that's what it was. Let's make sure we look at this from the chopper view before I confirm that, but that's certainly the guess from that angle. Again, watch Aubrey right here. He's got a run, going to try to take it, and yeah, just not clear. I just got finished talking about it, Dawson, that, you know, at this point in these positions, it's just not worth it. You're in such a good spot. You need to be extra sure that a move is there before you go and make it. And again, Aubrey's one of the veterans, and that's a pretty unfortunate mistake to make that now might not only cost him a chance at making the feature tomorrow, but it also cost a lot of guys who were at the front that also had put themselves in good position. And I'm sure there's not a lot of people that are too happy with that 69 right now.
Yeah, oh man, it's frustrating, and again, it's nothing against Aubrey at all. He's going for a move that he thought was there, but unfortunately, he goes just a little bit too early. I think if he waits even another half a second, I think he probably gets clear of Ellis and is able to make that move work and to make it happen. Unfortunately, he just waited a little bit. He went a little bit too early. And again, if he had gone a half a second later, I think that works. And instead, big names with big damage. Michael Triscaro, I believe he hammered the inside wall. Trevor Oswernoth has some big damage as well. He's lost the front end aboard his number 89. He gets hit hard there by Steve Tucker. Jared Haynes, William Price, Joe Huerta sliding through the grass. Danny Barnes is involved as well. I mean, this is a ton of big names. Some of the biggest names we talked about at the top of the broadcast are going to see their nights and their Summer Slam chances come to an end.
Not the way that they would have obviously expected it to end with the caution, the way it just did kind of play out in the sense of you think everybody up front's being conservative till we get to the white flag, but just not the way that it did pan out right there as we take a couple more looks at this one here. As Aubrey Thompson, there's the big hit for Trevor Oswernoth on his teammate Joe Huerta. Michael Triscaro, I'll tell you what, that was a pretty bad wreck right there for the Jack Shack. They had a lot of their team involved in that one. Joe Huerta, Trevor Oswernoth, and then, of course, Michael Triscaro. So, give you two. Actually, let's hop on board here to the onboard. And, you know, to be fair, I know we're not looking at the onboard right now for Aubrey, but we can see a lot more on the broadcast than you can in the car. And with as quick as things are happening, you look in your mirror. If it looks clear, you take it. And sometimes, right when you go to make that move, it's not clear anymore. And it's that judgment call, and sometimes it's worth it, sometimes it isn't. And you do kind of wonder if Aubrey had a chance to redo it again, would he do something a little different?
Yeah, and again, that's kind of why I was saying it is nothing at all against Aubrey Thompson. You know, I'm not trying to say he did something super egregious. It was literally a matter of 3 inches as to whether or not he was clear, or this happens to where he gets into the right or the left front quarter panel of John Ellis. Again, if he waits another half a second, I think they would have gotten clear, and he would have been able to make that move and jump up on the nose of Ellis and go to the front. And look, Aubrey knows better than anybody, I think, at this point, that if he had that one back, he would redo it and do it differently. Aubrey, a very experienced driver, a very experienced super speedway racer, and a guy that knows that move usually works. He just waited. He didn't wait quite long enough to make it happen.
Well, it's not quite going to be overtime just yet, but it is going to be a 3-lap shootout to decide it. Guess who's out in front? One of the fan favorites, Dale Tanhart, up 4 from where he started. He's been at the front for at least half of this race, been kind of going to the front, to the back, and then back to the front again. And you've got Alec Martinez to his outside in second, John Ellis Jr. back in third, Christopher McCullough fourth. Clint Griffin, another driver that we talked about, I think was hanging back on purpose there for a little while. He has now made his way back towards the front. Tyler Vickery, great run for him so far in the LCQ. He's in 6th. Jared Haynes back in 7th with Michael Anthony in 8th and Adam Parks in 9th. William Price rounds out your top 10, and we'll go all the way back to the last transfer spot. Chase Mastretta in 11th with Joey Allen in 12th. Francisco Villarreal in 13th. Joshua Sutherland in 14th. And Ron Morris Jr. rounding out that last transfer spot and rounding out your top 15. So Wyatt Gray, Joe Huerta, a couple of the guys that are just outside, but going to be looking to see if they can sneak their way in. And we've seen it in quite a few prelims, Dawson, a last lap wreck, and usually a pretty big one to decide who gets those last few spots in terms of who can sneak through. And so if you're at the front, based off of what you just saw, do you try to keep it a little bit more calm, or does this go right back to what we would see any given Thursday on the money racing community where it's everybody for themselves and you're going for it?
I mean, if I'm Dale Tanhart, I just saw my race flash before my eyes right there, because it all happened literally about 1.5 feet off his back bumper. But if I'm the rest of these guys in the top 15, you're going to get, some guys coming forward trying to get those spots. But if you're up here 3-4 rows, man, it's just not worth it to me. Like that move even by Aubrey, and I know, that again, Aubrey, nothing egregious that he did there, but it's just not worth it to me. I just, and I think those guys up here are thinking that now, okay, guys, let's seriously, let's calm down. Let's not wreck each other out. We're all in the race. If it ends right now, let's just keep it calm, and let's see if they do just that. 3 laps to go. Dale Tanhart brings the field into the restart zone. Green flag is back in the air. He got a good start. A little too good? Maybe not, because his help got a good start as well in John Ellis. Topside, Alec Martinez, Chris McCullough, Clint Griffin, William Price, and from there, the battle will be on for the final transfer spots.
Remember, we have got to get all the way to the white flag before this race will be deemed official. That means we have got to run at least 2 laps under green right here. And the aggression is going to pick up most likely after this first lap, as there's still 2x2, and that inside is really broken up after the 3rd row. Problem for the outside is they're kind of in the same boat, but that might change because Tyler Vickery works to the high side of the racetrack. That'll now make it a 3v2. Even more than that, as here comes the cavalry up top. 2 on the bottom, it's Tanhart and Ellis, but they need some more help. Where is it going to come? It's going to come in the form of the 43 of Clint Griffin. How quick can he get there, and can the outside get clear before he does?
Well, yeah, Martinez is, I think, going to get clear here in the trial, but he waited too long. He had it for a moment, but he waited just a moment too long. And Tanhart and Ellis' help arrived in the form of Clint Griffin, Jared Haynes, and others along the inside of the racetrack. Joey Allen as well. Topside, it's Josh Sutherland, but I don't see any help for him either. The help is starting to arrive. It's going to be Wyatt Gray that jumps out there. Let's see if Francisco Villarreal takes a look out there as well as they try to get the 3rd lane going and try to get into a better transfer spot. They're right back there around that 15th position, and the battle is on for that spot. When they get around, they'll see the white flag.
Yeah, the leaders really want to see that white flag too. They want this thing to be over, and they're saying you guys can wreck out back, but if you're in the middle of this pack, I think you got to get that 3rd lane going now. Oh, Christopher McCullough got down to Clint Griffin. It looks like they're both going to be able to save it. Working into the trial roll, the flagman has the white flag in hand. This race will be official. 1 lap to go in the LCQ.
Yeah, and the 3rd lane starting to get a little bit of traction. It's Josh Sutherland with, I believe, Adam Parks in behind him. They were safely in, but they don't feel very safe back there around 10th. They're going to take a look, and they're making a little bit of headway. Wyatt Gray right back around that transfer spot. He's got some room to make up, and he's going to need some help. Halfway down the backstretch, there's his help. Wyatt Gray, he may be in a pretty competitive spot right here for one of those transfers, but up front, Alec Martinez has found his way to the lead, and he's all clear, still in 3. Here comes Tanhart on the bottom. They're starting to wreck.
Wrecking big time out back, but keep an eye on this 3rd lane up front. Sutherland, now they're going to wreck again. Tyler Vickery is going to go around. Clint Griffin gets collected. Up front, more wrecking. Ellis gets turned. Huge hit.
Dale Tanhart's around. Dale Tanhart in the 81, he goes sideways as well. Up front, 4 wide for the win in the LCQ. Josh Sutherland, are you kidding me? He's going to win it, or is he?
Oh my goodness. Official scoring for what I'm showing right now was Christopher McCullough by less than 100th of a second. But wow, what a chaotic finish. And well, we thought we might see it. We saw it in so many prelims, and sure enough, we saw it unfortunately in the finish here of the LCQ, and that is a bunch of big wrecks on the last lap to end things. So we need to go back and look at this immediately, because there was a lot of different stuff that happened here, starting from the white flag all the way through. So here we go. White flag out in the air, and it was Dale Tanhart who led the way here. And the first wreck starts a lot further back here. Now, you got to give kind of hats off here to Sutherland and a couple others. They did a phenomenal job. Now, by the way, there will be post-race reviews on any of these incidents, so if your favorite driver was involved, there's a chance they're not necessarily out of it yet, so stick with us for now. But here we go. Let's see what causes the first one. I think it was way further back. By the way, you see John Ellis Jr. with some damage. Ooh, 24 getting a little out of shape, and then starts out back, but then here we go.
Oh, Vickery got loose. Vickery got loose. Well, let's see it again, but I think
I think you're right.
Or does he get hit?
Or was there some net code?
Oh, no, some contact.
Yeah,
that's
from Sutherland. Yikes, that's a tough break for Vickery. It seems like he's always on the bad end of the stick for that. And when he went down and did collect a couple others here, and I think Ellis just lost it. I think when he got on the apron here, I think he just loses it. Does Dale Tanhart do the same? He
tags Chris McCullough.
And it was...
Holy cow.
Well, how did he get on the apron here initially? Does he get hit? Let's see here.
Is he just...
I mean, he was...
Oh, my goodness. Let's see.
No, he lost it. He just lost it.
He lost it. and lost it again, and he's still trying to
Well,
catch it.
he might have
and
saved it there. It
come
was
together.
close, but yeah, I agree. He was still working on trying to save
but
it.
he's still washing up.
Yeah, that's tough for Dale because I think he just got loose and it was trying to play catch up from there. And then right here, look at this, almost 5 wide. How about it? And then Sutherland tucks right in line all the way to the finish here. And how close was this? Well, let's see. Right there.
Oh,
man. My goodness. That's about as close as we can show here. We got the photo finish cam for this here to see exactly how close it looked, as we've got somebody. Let's see here. Give me 1 second to find it. All right, let's see here. So if we go back, I'm trying to find it here. I know there's a, there it is. So we're going to play this frame by frame. Man, it does not get much closer than that. Wow. I mean, they were, holy smokes. Yeah, Christopher McCullough definitely right there. You can see it by, I don't know, maybe a front bumper at most. I mean, that's a photo finish. That's probably the closest one that we've seen so far today. And while the finish was great, the finish itself, or at least how that last lap went, was certainly very, very unfortunate for a lot of different drivers. So, you know, it's a tough break at the end of the day, but I mean, Dawson, I think some of those last turn incidents there with Ellis and Dale Tanhart, that's just a result of this car being tough on handling at the end of these things.
It is, and that's a really tough break because obviously Ellis and Tanhart, two of the better, the more impressive drivers of the day, in terms of what the ability that they put on track was, and really two of the better drivers in this LCQ race. I mean, Ellis led some laps, Tanhart led a lot of that end portion. Oh my goodness, what a tough break for those guys, man. It's heartbreaking to lose it that way at the end of the race, but some good stories as well. And one of them, if you're looking on the scoring, look at this drive from Michael Triscaro. Are you kidding me right now? 25th to 8th, and he's in the Summer Slam 499. Are you kidding me right now?
Yeah, that's the onboard shot that we were just looking at right there. We're going to have to talk to him here in just a little bit because that was absolutely incredible. But before we do, we got to look at your results and then talk to your top 3. By the way, before everybody does head out, in case you're not sticking around, please do remember to like the video or the stream if you enjoyed, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It certainly helps us out with a lot of things. Either way, we appreciate you sticking around and tuning in here tonight. All right, Christopher McCullough is officially scored as your winner for the Last Chance Qualifier. Joshua Sutherland finishes second in the photo finish. Alex Martinez back in third. Adam Parks fourth with Michael Anthony in fifth. Andrew Harris sixth. William Price back in seventh with Michael Triscaro in eighth. Steven Scott Jr. ninth. And Joey Allen rounding out your top 10.
11th is Zach Saunders in this race. Francisco Villarreal is 12th. Wyatt Gray in 13th. Danny Barnes in 14th. And the final transfer spot out of the LCQ race will go to Jared Haynes of One Stop Motorsports in the 15th position. First driver out in the LCQ race, Tyler Vickery for PGR. Clint Griffin finishes 17th. Trevor Oswornoff finishes 18th. Ron Morris in 19th. And Chris Carter finishes in 20th.
Dale Tanhart, unfortunately, after that last turn incident, finishes 21st. Nim Silva, 22nd. Bryce Saucier, 23rd, with Aubrey Thompson, 24th. Paul Turner in 25th. Looks like David Geetsey finishes in 26th. Joe Herda in 27th, with Mark Von Dell back in 28th. John Ellis Jr., 29th. And DeAndre Kane rounds out your top 30.
31st, Chase Mistretta. 32nd, Steve Tucker. 33rd, Tanner Kasinger. And 34th, James Steck. Ambrose Kniebel, 35th. Larry McDonald, 36th. Joey Galati, 37th. Ted Gamble in 38th. Axel Smith in 39th, and John Ward rounds out the top 40.
All right, well, we got some interviews to go through. Unlike the prelims, we're going to go through your top 3, and then we're going to get an interview with Michael Triscaro as well after that. So we're going to go grab your top 3. Stay with us. We'll be right back at Talladega. All right, welcome back to Talladega Superspeedway. We're going to start first here tonight with your third place finisher in the LCQ. That's Alec Martinez. Alec, this is Austin and Dawson in the booth. You got a copy?
I got you, boys.
Well, you've got the job done. You raced your way into the feature tomorrow. You're going to be racing for $1,000 and a Summer Slam belt. But let's talk about tonight and the job you did to get to this position. You had to work your way through the field a couple different times, and you finished on the podium. Take us through it.
I think with the pit stops, was hoping that we get green flag pit stops, kind of separate the field. These cars, I like the way they drive here. They tend to, it seems like there's a little bit of tire fall off to kind of separate the field out a little bit, and was just hoping that we can get pit stops there, and was trying to save fuel to get that extra lap. I think we're running outside the top 25 entire beginning of the race, and we just shout out to my spotter Clark, helping me out there. Clark Jenigan, he really helped me there, and just trying to save fuel there. Jump the field. I think if I could have had a better pit entry, could have maybe slotted inside the top 10 there, but just had to work that third lane, get up there. Appreciate Dale Tanhart. We worked together most of that race at the end there, coordinating what we can do, and it's a shame he got taken out like that. I think he was the deserving winner of that race, and we were just working together trying to get both of us in, and I don't know what happened in the last lap. Kind of odd that we wrecked in the top 5 when we're all locked in. But other than that, we're in the show, ready to go race for that belt and that $1,000 tomorrow. And it'd be a pretty sweet win to go win the Summer Slam, and it'd be right up there with the Firecracker 400 pole. So I'm looking forward to tomorrow.
Yeah, certainly would be pretty exciting. Well, you got the job done on this end. And by the way, looks like, not official word yet, but we're hearing that you may have actually got moved to P2 as P2 was potentially disqualified. So whether that's the case or not, you still finished on the podium. Congrats on it. So before we let you head out to get ready for tomorrow, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah. Everybody here that put on this event here at the PGR eSports. This is a really awesome event. Very happy to be a part of it, and happy to be a part of tomorrow's race. And looking forward to seeing what happens tomorrow. I think it's going to be pretty wild, pretty crazy. And, just 188 laps tomorrow. Be there at the end and see if we can get ourselves a belt and $1,000. And like you said, shout out to you guys putting on this broadcast, Austin, Dawson, being a broadcaster myself for V-Speed, and they're on the car this weekend. Appreciate the work you guys do. Looking forward to tomorrow. Shout out to my spotter Clark Jenigan, who did an awesome job on the stand, and again to Dale Tanhart for working together. We did a really good job working and getting up there. And hey, you got taken out, but looking forward to tomorrow. It'll be really fun to be a part of it, and let's go and get them tomorrow.
Thank you for talking to us again. Congrats on the podium finish, and we will see you tomorrow in the feature.
Thank you very much, man. Thank you.
All right, well, we're going to go ahead and go ask race control here real quick. Unless, Dawson, do you have any official word on if the 62 is DQ'd?
I don't. Go ahead and get a word with Chris McCullough, and I will go double check with race control and get a confirmation on that.
All right, and we're going to go ahead and do that. Christopher McCullough is your race winner here tonight. Hey, let's see if we can get him up here. Hey, Chris, this is Austin up in the booth. Get a copy.
Hey, Austin, I got you.
Well, you're used to saying that you come across the line in these races upside down or in the grandstands. Not the case, though, here tonight. You come across a winner, and boy, that last lap sure was chaotic. All the things that went on, and you make it through it. What was going through your head as you saw some of those wrecks unfolding in front of you?
To be perfectly honest with you, it was making sure I didn't loop it myself. I got real loose right there coming out of 4 and through the center of 3 and 4. So everybody was giving it all they had there. A little surprised everybody got as loose as they did. I mean, everybody got loose right there. So I don't know if it was just the breaking point for the tire or whatnot, but right there at the end, I was just trying to hold on. And after it cycled through, after everybody got into each other, I had a chance to go for the win there. I wasn't really trying to until I seen I had a run. I thought I was in trouble, but it just worked out for me.
Well, you had to go through 2 races today. Of course, the prelim earlier and now the LCQ to advance yourself to the feature. Do you think there was any extra, I don't know if I want to say experience, but anything extra that you learned from running both of those events that you can take into tomorrow?
It's tough to say. It depends on the track conditions, whatnot. If it's going to be just as hot as it is, I mean, that's really going to help me understand with tomorrow being a lot of long green flag runs, hopefully, understanding these tires. So I feel like I learned a little bit there, and just happy to make it. You know, it hasn't been the greatest prelims for McCullough Motorsports, but at least I got through here. We'll give it a shot.
Absolutely. Well, before we let you head out tonight to go celebrate and then get ready for tomorrow, is there anyone you'd like to thank or shout out?
yeah, I got to thank all my family and friends that tune in. I appreciate all the support they give. I got to thank my teammates, McCullough Motorsports. Thank you, gentlemen, for putting on this broadcast. All of PGR, they worked really hard on this event to get it to where it's at. And from what I've seen today, it's been a pretty good success. And all these drivers out here, it's nice to have a good group, competitive guys that you can work hard with.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for talking to us. Again, congrats on that win, Chris. $60 richer. Well, you made your entry fee back. We'll see if you can go for even more tomorrow.
Thank you, sir. Y'all have a great night.
You as well. All right, Dawson, what's the official word looking like?
There is not any yet, so we'll go with that for now, actually. I may be getting it right now. I have received the official word. The call stands. The top 3 is final. Josh Sutherland will remain in position number 2.
Wow. All right. Well, I don't see him in the Discord. Not sure if we're going to be able to get him in.
He's currently talking to race control, so I'm not sure if it's the best time right this
second. We'll leave him alone, and because next we need to pull up Michael Triscaro with his drive through the field there on that last lap. We'll see what he's got to say. Dawson Wise stands by with him.
Yeah. Hey, Mike, it's the voice in the booth. You got us?
Dude, kind of. I'm still breathing heavy, man.
Well, feel free to take a second before you answer, but I mean, we watched the onboard camera. We saw what happened with inside of 10 laps to go. And we knew for, really a lot of you guys that were involved in that incident, that it would be very dire to try to get back to the front. It would take a last lap like we got. The last lap ended up being the chaos that you needed it to be, and it became arguably the drive of the weekend. I mean, it's been the moment of the weekend to this point. You wanted a Game 7 moment. You got your Game 7 moment. If you can even process it at this point, take us through your drive through the field on the last lap to end up making it into the Summer Slam 499.
Well, all I know is I've watched this back now 10 times because I got to record this. I mean, this is one for the ages, in my opinion. We're at the Sunoco sign here in turn 3, and I'm pushing Aubrey, and I wasn't happy with him. And I'm not going to lie, I was getting ready to just hook him right into the fence. And I offset him just a little bit right, and I see smoke. So that's telling me they're wrecking. As soon as they did, I stayed down. I was able to see a car coming right down into Aubrey. So I turned the wheel right. I saved it. And then I see them wrecking up front, and I'm like, I got a chance at this. I had 3 cars, literally 3 cars right in plain sight of me. 2 of them got together. They start wrecking. I have to go all the way, literally all the way to the wall. I got 2 cars coming back on the track, literally from the apron. I have to go down, almost get hooked, barely making it in front of Steck. Now I'm in the hole. Now I'm in the good hole. They start wrecking more. Now I see Ellis's turn. They're all wrecking ahead of me. Now I have a decision to make. Do I go down here under the yellow, which you can do when you're trying to avoid a wreck? I'm telling you, I'm looking at 4, 5, 6 cars in my mirror. I have to go under the yellow, come back up onto the track. Then I split the middle. And man, I'll tell you what, even probably about 300, 400, 500 feet before that start finish line, I was going nuts on the radio, man. I'll tell you what, for all the bad luck, you can add all the bad luck in every single PGR race since I started PGR. And tonight just trumped all that, man. I don't even care now. That was, even if I take last tomorrow, man, that was one of the most exciting, thrilling finishes I'll ever have. Taking 8th place in my life. Man, it would be great if somehow this was God and the heavens opening for me here in PGR, because if I can go on tomorrow and keep this thing up front and go win this thing, man, I'll tell you what, I won't ever complain again.
Well, it's a walk-off for you here in this race. Obviously, an 8th place finish puts you into the field for tomorrow afternoon's Summer Slam 499. Now, obviously, the goal tonight is done. Obviously, now you have to completely reset your mind and get to where now you can think about, okay, now I got to go run 188 laps tomorrow to try to run for $1,000. You have to game plan. I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah.
What is the game plan for the 34 team tomorrow afternoon of the Summer Slam 499?
Well, I'll tell you what, I got a couple teammates on Tuesdays in the race, and both of them won prelims today in Matthew Baker and Jeffrey Merck. So I don't know what our game plan is. Probably run together. I don't care what we do as far as money, but I don't care. I'm just happy to be in it. I'm going to follow their lead. They've been in big races like this before. Matthew Baker's been in huge races before. I'm gonna be a lot more calm, I think, tomorrow than I was today. I was I was very nervous earlier today. I was obviously super nervous here, and I was hot near the end of this race. I mean, my right foot was shaking on the wheel when I was leading there on the bottom, and I just kept coming over to Mike like, guys, let's just stay put. There's no reason. Obviously, Aubrey made a huge mistake, and hopefully him and I could talk about that later. But tomorrow the game plan is just to be chill, man. I'm happy to be there. I know I want to win it, but to me it's all about winning. I don't care about the money. You guys all know that. I do this thing because I love it. It's a hobby. And I just love putting these PGR events on. And this is a dream come true for me since I started, at least, to put on an event of this magnitude that everybody seems to have loved so far. And I'll tell you what, I'm just happy tomorrow to be there. But if I can be there in the end and I got a shot, man, I'm going to take my shot. And no holds barred there on the last lap, man. 34 is going to victory lane if you can.
Well, what a way to end off tonight. Obviously, now you get to prepare for tomorrow before we let you go and kind of game plan, strategize, and get some rest before tomorrow afternoon's event. Is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out?
Oh, man. Thank everybody, man. Thank you guys, PGR eSports, for coming on board here, broadcasting. Austin Green, Dawson Wise, Matthew Baker. He's been here every step of the way. I mean, without him, this isn't nearly as what it is today. Thank all my teammates at PGR and BG. Thank pretty much every single driver, even the ones I'm mad at, 155 entries. I'm going to thank every single one of them for coming out and getting the payouts that we are. I think $4,650 in the purse. Another 100 donated by McCall Motorsports tomorrow. We got a butt kicker that's somebody's getting tomorrow, man. I mean, VRX, our sponsor VRX, Prime Hydration, Kennewath Valley Key and Fob, but everything, man. Like I'll thank everybody, man. This was a cool day, and we got one more day of it. Hopefully, we can all get some rest and come back tomorrow fresh and ready to go.
Well, we certainly can't wait. This race certainly set the stage in terms of all the twists and turns we're going to see tomorrow. Mike, congratulations on an incredible drive and into the field for the SummerSlam 499 tomorrow. Go rest, go relax a little bit, go take a breath and prepare and game plan, and we will see you tomorrow afternoon.
All right, guys, take care, man.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, boy, what a crazy finish that one was. And we'll get ready to wrap things up. But before we do, we got to talk about not just that LCQ, but more specifically the ending of it and how crazy things were. You had guys that maybe didn't think they'd advance that did. You had Michael Triscaro pull off one of the craziest drives we've seen throughout the weekend and in general in money racing as a whole in a while to advance himself. And you look at the winner, Christopher McCullough, we had a photo finish in that sense. So everything we got today, Dawson, certainly has me pretty excited for what we're going to see tomorrow.
It completely sets the stage. And I couldn't have thought of a better way. I know that sounds, maybe a little bit ridiculous to say after we had so many incidents on the last lap, but just in terms of chaos, in terms of the twists and turns, the roller coaster of emotions that many guys just felt on that last lap. And it kind of goes both ways. You have the stories of guys like, they got through the wreck. Andrew Harris, William Price, obviously Mike, Michael Triscaro, he gets through it. Steven Scott Jr., Joey Allen, also racing. Wyatt Gray, Jared Haynes. I mean, these are guys that were 20th, 21st, 22nd, not even close to a transfer, and they get in the emotional roller coaster I can't imagine. But also for guys like Tyler Vickery, for guys like Trevor Osbornoff, for Ron Morris, for Dale Tanhart, for Aubrey Thompson, for Joe Huerta, guys that were in a transfer spot, John Ellis as well, guys that had run a good enough race, in my opinion, to get in, to deserve the spot, to get in the SummerSlam 499, and at the end, it goes awry at the last second. I mean, just complete roller coaster emotions, but that's why we love this. That's why we love this thing that we do, is because moments like these happen. You get moments like Michael Triscaro he's out of breath coming into the broadcast booth. I mean, just an incredible moment, and it sets the stage so perfectly for tomorrow. We still have an incredible field of 40 drivers set to race for 500 miles tomorrow. I can't wait. I've been stoked for this for a long time. This day was incredible, and I can't wait to see what tomorrow brings.
Excited for sure. And touching back on that point of what you said there towards, with what happened with this race, and guys that did everything right, we hear it all the time where when it comes to super speedway racing, a lot of times 75% luck, 75% skill, 25% luck. You got to have both sometimes to finish these races the way you want to. And unfortunately for guys like Dale Tanhart, John Ellis Jr., just didn't happen to end that way tonight. But nonetheless, with the feature tomorrow, a couple quick reminders for you. The payouts, Michael Triscaro said it, $4,650 purse, $1,000 to the winner, along with a Summer Slam belt. Butt kicker is going to be given away. There'll be 2 random drawings for drivers that finish outside the money. Looking forward to all that. The actual event itself, the 2024 PGR Summer Slam 499, will begin at 1 p.m. Eastern, but our pre-race coverage will begin sooner than that. Should start sometime, I believe we had it set for around 12:45, but maybe hop on around 12:30. We'll get the broadcast up as soon as we can, and we'll get ready for a lot of action tomorrow. Certainly looking forward to it. As for some of the issues we had, again, apologize for those technical difficulties. We're doing the best we can with what we have. We'll try to have it all sorted out for tomorrow, but again, appreciate everybody sticking with us for that. I mean, Dawson, I know me and you both, and then, of course, Race Control, Matthew Baker, Michael Triscaro, we've all been going on about, I think, 9 hours straight now between broadcasting and Race Control, so we're ready to take a break, but boy, we're excited for tomorrow. So anything else before we leave?
No, just thank you to everyone that came out. I mean, this was a really massive audience today. It was really awesome to see kind of all the support all come together at once, all expressing also in the chat. The chat was really busy today. It was really fun to see a lot of fun conversations going on down there in the chat. So thank you all for coming out. Thank you all for interacting and getting this out there. Make sure to do it tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be a spectacle you will not want to miss. The Summer Slam 499 is something we've been working on for a really long time. It's something we've been anticipating for a really long time. This is going to be a huge moment, and it's going to be a historic moment for us here at PGR Esports. I hope that you all will join us in celebrating this moment as we get to see who takes home $1,000 in a championship belt. Elbows out. Boys have at it tomorrow afternoon. I can't wait.
It's going to be a fun one. All right, well, with that, that'll wrap things up. Again, thank you all so much for tuning in here today. As always, we certainly hope you enjoyed. That's it for me, Austin Green, alongside Dawson Wise here on PGR Esports. We'll be back tomorrow. Until then.